How's it going, everybody? It's been a little bit. So moved into the new house, got all situated here, got internet finally, and so at the old house, my entire life I've always used a wired internet. Here, I am trying out T-Mobile Home Internet, which actually uses LTE and 5G signals to receive the internet reception, and then it has a little gateway box that receives that. And thank you, Ahmed. Thank you for confirming that. And I had issues throughout the past week with it actually overheating because I had too much connected to it. So I had to get a router. Uh, so, so once I got that hooked up and I got everything hooked up to the router and turned the Wi-Fi off of the gateway, it seems like it's stopped overheating. Because whenever it overheats, the internet just completely goes to kaput and it stops working. So, um, cool. I wanted to just kind of stream for a little bit here to test and make sure that everything's working okay with that. And I figured while we're here, I was talking with the free tier on Discord, and he ran into an issue, and I realized, hey, I'm running into that same issue, or I have that same bug in my application. So here we are with the new, not yet released Jaeger site, which the name will actually be changing whenever I do release it. Um, but ultimately the issue is, so I have a Google and a GitHub login, and I believe I streamed that whenever we set that up. Um, and whenever users log in, all of that works okay. So if I come in here and I log in with my GitHub, it should work okay. I'm not quite sure if I'm actually, yeah. So it works okay. Obviously, I have an issue with my image, but that's completely separate from what we're going to be focusing on here today. But the issue is, so whenever, if we dig into that code here, I believe I put that inside of a service. So let's go into services, HTTP auth social service. So we have our get user, and then we have the find or create user, and that's where the actual issue is. So if we come down to here, we can see that I am querying for the user, and if the user is not found, then I'm going ahead and creating that user within my database. The issue is I'm using the email to check whether or not that user exists already in my database. The reason why that's an issue is, what if I go into, I'm not going to do this, but what if I go into my GitHub and I actually change my email? Well, whenever I go to log in the next time, I'm going to be receiving that new email via the social auth. And whenever I do the lookup inside of my database, I'm not going to have that new email to find the user against. So that new user is going to get a whole nother user created within our database. And so we're going to get kind of a double user scenario going on there, where one's old and one's new, but then they're going, all of their information within the application is going to get siloed between those two. So the easiest way to go ahead and fix that is to, and I just closed it. So if I open up Table Plus, and let me connect to my local, and if we go into our users, you can see that we have the, we have the GitHub access token, and that's really all that we're saving. That's particular to the GitHub user beyond their email. But what we can do is we can add an additional column in here called GitHub ID, and then we can do the same for Google. Should have a column in here for Google somewhere as well, I think. Maybe not. But we could do the same thing for Google and get the Google ID. And then instead of checking for the email, we can check against the GitHub ID or the Google ID. That way, if the user changes any of their personally identifying information, we'll still have that ID to look back against to confirm whether or not that user exists within our database. So let's go ahead and NodeAce make migration. I might be a little rusty here today. It's been 3-ish weeks since I've really worked with Adonis. I don't get the privilege of working with it at my day job. I work with C# and ASP.NET. So JavaScript's not even really my main go-to anymore, unfortunately. But so let's go ahead and do NodeAce make migration. Let's do, oh wow, is that my computer fan? It is. I have yet to hear that, so I'm kind of surprised that I'm hearing it. I don't have the AC on, and it's about 80-ish degrees in here right now, so that could be why too. Okay, so Node.js make migration, and then let's do add social auth IDs, and table for that should be users. So that's going to create an alter table migration for us called add social auth IDs. So we can head into our applications, find database in here, scroll on down to there, and here is our migration. So really all that we're going to want to do is, and let me take a look at that again. Do I really not have, let me take a look at the structure. GitHub, oh yeah, no, there's Google Access Token. Okay, I was completely just overlooking it. So we'll do GitHub ID. Is that, man, no, that's not right. Like I said, it's been a minute. Integer GitHub ID unsigned. It's not going to reference anything actually, and we'll also want to make sure that it's nullable. Nullable is default, but I'm going to put it there just so it's explicitly known and won't have any possibility for confusion. And then we'll do Google ID as well. Okay, and then within our down, let's go ahead and remove those two columns. Again, I like to do them one by one in case for any reason during development stuff changes. It's just easy peasy, and it doesn't take that much extra time to go in here. Oop, and add the additional drop. Okay, so let's give that a save, and let's go ahead and run that migration. So Node.js migration run. I'm going to be questioning everything that I type here today. All right, so that ran, it looks like it ran with a couple of others. Oh yeah, I prepped those. That's going to be the next stream. I started working on that a little bit. I didn't mean to, but I did. Okay, so we have those. So let's go ahead and add the GitHub ID and Google ID into our user model. So let's go to models user. And let's see, let's put these right before the access tokens. So right here, column, yeah, public. Oh, wow. Kind of skipped over that on these, didn't I? I was going to say, something doesn't look right here. Public. It doesn't matter a whole lot. I believe public is default, but let's put them in there so that I don't confuse myself further next time. GitHub ID, that's going to be, should be a number, I believe. I have no clue what Google provides. I'm going to assume it's going to be a number. We will find out. Okay, so there we have our GitHub and Google IDs. So then let's go into our, Auth social service. There it is. And in addition to, I didn't realize my dog was down by my feet. I'll give her a little nudge. In addition to all of this, let's add in, let's see, so we should be able to discern what provider we are using. If I can remember which property that is out of here. Social provider? Key of social providers. So it's most likely going to be that, I would imagine. Yeah, it should be. So it should be the social provider right here. So we should be able to do, yeah, because that's the token key. So that would be the GitHub access token and Google access token right up here. So let's do const, keep that naming token ID or user ID. Yeah, let's do user ID equals social provider ID, and we'll tack that in right down here. So user ID, and that should be user dot ID. Give that a save. Let's go ahead and try logging in again just to see whether or not that gets populated within our database. We can go in here and verify that it's actually null. So if we come into our data side of it, this one right here is my GitHub user. It's going to be all the way at the end. And yeah, so it's null right now. So if we come back into here, try signing up with or logging in with our GitHub. Okay, we are logged in. Let's come back over here and refresh, and we should have some kind of an ID, and we don't. Okay, well, yeah, because the user already exists, huh? So, in addition to that, since I already have users within the production database using this, what I'm going to do is just a next time the user logs in, let's check to see if that's missing. If it is, let's go ahead and populate it in. So, if Jaeger user, let's go ahead and do an else if not Jaeger user, yeah, not Jaeger user dot user ID key. That should have a key behind it because that's not the actual ID. There we go. User ID key. It's not very pretty, but it should work. And that just, oh, I really did I? Jeez. User ID key. There we go. Okay. If that's missing, then let's go ahead and just populate it in. So, Jaeger user dot, or not dot, user ID key equals user dot ID, and then Jaeger user dot save. Await, yeah, await it. Okay, let's test that one more time. Okay, sign in, bam. Looks like it went okay, and there is our GitHub ID right there. So that seems to be working okay. Doesn't look like I actually have a Google user because all of those access tokens are null. But since the email is already in here, it should find that and just populate the Google ID onto that particular user. So let me go ahead and try that real quick. Let's see if this is working. Oop, nope. Insert into users. And, oh yeah, that's definitely out of intended range. So, okay. We're going to need to change that to, what is that, a big int? Let's head over to the AdonisJS documentation, take a look at what options are. I believe it would be big int, but I am not 100% certain. So let's see, we'd be wanting to look for migrations here, Tom. Model factories. I am blind. I know it's right here. Schema migrations. There we go. All right. Actually, this might be in the reference. It isn't. It's been a while since I have looked at the migration stuff. Okay. Oh, no, I'm back at context. How did I get to context? Schema migrations, alter table. Okay. Go ahead. It may not be listed on the AdonisJS documentation. Let me go into Connects.js. I know that this is really small. Let me go ahead. It's hard for me to even read it. Let me zoom in a little bit here. So schema builder, I believe this is the right spot. So there's big int. Note that it's returned as a string in queries because it can't parse them. So that is one thing to note. So we could just save it as a string and call it a day. But we'll try big int. We'll see if that works. So let's head back into our migration. before, let's go ahead and roll back real quick. Node ACE migration, roll back. Okay. And let's change you to big. It may be beneficial to just go ahead and do that for GitHub as well, because with the amount of users that GitHub has, it may eventually reach that point as well. So let's go ahead and just try that with that as well. Okay, so node ACE migration run. If this doesn't work, then I may just go ahead and save them as a string and call it a day, because why not? It'll still work. It'll still be unique within our system. All right, here we go. And so let's try GitHub first. All right, looks all good there. Let's verify that, so this column should look the exact same. Refreshed, and there it is. Only difference is that whenever we try to query that, it's going to come up as a big int. So the main thing would be whenever we change this to checking for the GitHub ID, we want to verify that that user is actually found, since that will be compared as a string, and it still does not. Okay, out of range of big int as well. All right. I hesitant to do a double. May just go ahead and do a string. Let's try string. So let's do node ACE migration roll back. Okay. String. That would mean that unsigned is no longer applicable. There we go. Give that a save. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and go back into the user model. Let's change these from number to string. Since we were using big int and it's returned back as a string, that might have been a string regardless anyway, even if big int did work. Not 100% sure how that would work. And let's go ahead and run that migration again. It's one of those trial and error type things. You think it might work a particular way, but you're not quite sure until you try it. All right, so there we go. Got our migrations running. Come back in here, refresh. That should be empty. It is. Let's come back into our application. Let's go back. Let's go ahead and try Google first, since that's been failing. Cool. So that is working. We can go ahead and refresh here. Oh, it created a new user. Ooh, that's not what I want. See, it should have found this one. So now that email is not unique. Peculiar. Okay, we'll look into that here in a second. Let's go ahead and try GitHub. Just verify that that's working. Okay. All right, yeah, so that one worked okay. That one didn't create a new user on us. Curious as to why Google did. So it could have, no, it should be checking based off of the ID or the email there. Let's double check. So that would be the auth social service. Oh, we're not null. Token key. Okay. See, so we should be able to just go ahead and get rid of that as well. So if the email's in our system, why not, right? Why separate the user out? Because if they're, yeah. Okay. So let me go ahead and save that. Let's delete that extra user that got created here. Okay. Ah, created a profile for him too. Let's see. So go in here. Let's delete that row. Come in here and delete that row. Okay, there we go. All right. Let me double check and make sure I saved. Sanity check there. Yeah. All right. So let's come back into here and let's try that one more time. So let's sign out. I'll do some additional thinking behind this to make sure that this is safe to do here. It would definitely be safe if I had an email verification, like you sent off, verify your email address, but there is that slight possibility of, since I'm not requiring this particular user to have that particular token ID of somebody signing up for a particular email, and then somebody else coming along that actually owns that email and using a social provider. But I don't think that would happen very often. And I do want to add in an email verification step within here anyway. So once that is happening, then this would be a safe bet to do. Okay, that was a long ramble, sorry. So let's go ahead and try this again. Me thinking out loud. All right, there we go. And doesn't look like a brand new user got created. And there is our Google ID up on that correct user. Cool. So then the last thing to do would be, we'd want to switch this to, let's see here. Trying to think if there's a way to where I could just switch this to checking the ID, but I don't believe so, because we still have all of those users that signed up that we don't have the ID within the database for. So let's go ahead and do an or where user ID key is user.id. Okay, so now that should work as well. And in order to test that, I think I might just comment that out for right now and put, oh, did I capitalize that? Oh, yeah, well, you had an or in front of it. Okay, so there we go. So let's go ahead and test this out with this commented out to just make sure that the system is finding the user okay by their particular social auth ID. Let's go ahead and sign in again. Let's sign in with Google until it's the end of a work week. Refresh here. All looks good. No extra data added in. And we were successfully logged in using just the social auth ID. So that is working okay for Google. Let's go ahead and try this again for GitHub. Okay. Logged in okay there. And no extra data added in for that either. So that's working as intended. Let's go ahead and I'm gonna have to think through this a second on whether or not I actually do want that and where not null out. I definitely want the emails to be combined into, so like I already had my email for my Gmail signed up, obviously, but whenever I actually went through with the Gmail social auth, I do want that same user to be bound to the Gmail social auth or Google social auth. I think the safest way to do that would be to add an email verification step to the email password login. That way I know for a fact that they own that email address and it's not just some random person trying to pick out some user's email address. And then whenever that some user comes along to sign up, now we have a password that one user owns and a social auth login that another user owns, that wouldn't be a very good scenario. So, but I do definitely want those records combined. So yeah. For right now, though, while I don't have that email verification system in, I think I feel safest having those separated, or even just disallowing a social auth system and then saying log in with your email and password and then add it into the back end whenever the user's already logged in. That would actually probably be the safest bet, is to say, if you already have an account with us and it's not GitHub or Google, then you need to go into your settings and add that. I like that better. That sounds like a better approach. So we will add that back in with, what was that, aware, not null. I guess it would be, well, yeah, no, token key. That should definitely work. Yeah, yeah. Okay. So then we'll put that back in. And now if I remove the GitHub ID there. Oh wait, I also need to remove the Google app. Oh no, okay, that's not there. Why isn't that there? Shouldn't that be there? Now it'll be there. There we go. Okay. So let's go ahead and sign out. And let's disallow the user from actually signing up with Google whenever they have the email already in our system, but it's not bound to a particular social auth. And then we'll force them to do that within the settings. That way we know that they have access, like that is that user. So what would be the best way to do that? So if they don't have a user that gets created, we definitely want to allow that. If they don't have, see, so at this point, we just have the token key created within our database for those pre-existing users. So we'd want to check the token key. No, let's do it separate else if. And then let's check the token key on that. So if not, if they don't have the token key saved, then we want to disallow the login. And let me see whether or not I can just return null from this. Probably not. I would imagine that's expecting user. Yeah, it is. So, all right, I'm going to try throwing an error here and just seeing how I'm handling that. May need to do this more gracefully or wrap this in the try catch or something like that. So let's see, throw new unauthorized exception. I don't know if that would be the right exception or not, but we'll go with it for right now. What will be the verbiage for this? An account. I don't know. That works for right now. We'll see whether or not that works for what we need. All right, so let's come back into here. So it's a Google that should now break. It shouldn't work. Let's see what happens. It worked. It didn't break. Maybe I didn't save. Oh, okay. Yeah, so, hmm. That's odd. It should definitely have reached here. Let's see whether or not we can see that exception on our server. Ah, shoot. I got a bunch of stuff in here. No, we can't. All right. Well then, let's what? The token key is still null. That is, or no, never mind. That'd be down here. So it created a new user, so it means it didn't find it. So that means that what I'm actually looking for is up here. So it didn't find the email where, oh, we're not null. Yeah, okay, so we do want to actually take that out because we have now this check here. So can't check if you're not getting the user back. So, all right, let's try that again. So I need to go back into here, delete the profile first. Boom. And then delete that user again. And all right. Let's try this again. All right. Sign up. Google. Should get back in there. Let me actually open up the console. Oh, shoot. It worked. Worked A-okay. What did it do? Create another user on me again? Yeah, sure did. Oh, I forgot to switch this to an or where. That wouldn't find any user. There we go. All right, now it should work. Let's run through that again. This is why I shouldn't stream on a Friday night at the end of a work week. Let's see. Profiles. Bam. Users. Bam. All right, let's try this one more time. Let's go back into here. Sign out. Cool. Sign in. Let's hit the Google button. And there we go. Now, I want that to be graceful. I want it to go back to that page and just show an error. I don't want this to happen. So let me see where I need to catch that at. So this is called by this. It returns back this. So I would say to catch it right here. Okay. Yeah, we need to. There we go. Okay. So now we should be able to catch that. Now we need to see what calls get user. That's probably inside of the controller, I would imagine. So let's jump back into our auth social controller here. Yeah, get user. So we have, all right, to route auth sign in show. And let's do, so we got that. Let's just grab the message out of there. So let's do a, let's see, we need session. And the auth page has a particular flash that it's looking for, I believe. It might be this. Let me go and just copy and paste this in here. Easy enough to type that in, but yeah. All right. Try just dropping that message in there. Let's see if that works. So now whenever that fails, this should redirect us back to the sign-in page with that message instead of showing us that big old error page. Let's test this and see if that works. All right, so we came back here. Doesn't look like that was the right flash message. No, it should definitely be the right one, unless that's just not working. But it should be. I've tested that before. Errors. Oh, it's errors. This is different. Let's try that. Or maybe the message was empty. I don't know. Maybe the message isn't right. Try this again as a sanity check here first, though. Let's see whether or not this works. Okay. So the issue may be message, or the message, yeah. So let's see what we're capturing there within the service. Just spread that out and see what we get. Okay. An empty object. Cool. Cool. Okay. Try this just as an error, maybe. Empty object. All right, I'm gonna put this in layman's terms that I can understand here. I don't know why that wouldn't be capturing that. Yeah, that's even cleaner. Okay, I like it. Somehow that worked better. Cool. Oh yeah, we can get rid of that. All right. Let's see here. So let's try that one more time. All right. Did I remove that console log? Yeah, that was an error, wasn't it? So it should be returning back that error. Oh yeah, but social controller message does not exist on type. Yes, it does. It's right there. You have it listed. It's right there. All right. Let's console.log out whatever the message is here. Just verify that we're getting it to this point. And yeah. So it's the flash, which is weird because I thought I had that working. See, the other one that we had there was error. Maybe that's right. Because now if I try to log in with a bad password, it shows up. It does work. Let's see. Oh, is it? Take a look at that one more time. Oh, form. My goodness. Yeah. So it's errors inside a form. There we go. That should work. Blame my previous self for not making that self-explanatory there. All right. Let's try that one more time. There we go. This is the message. So let's plop that on there. Get the actual message up. I'm going to ignore that because that's Visual Studio Code. That's one thing I liked about WebStorm is the TypeScript stuff was always up to date. You didn't have to worry about it. It was very good at keeping that up to date. So let's see. Where's our message at? Access was denied. Request expired. This is the message. The email. See, now I need to think up a nice message for this to be. Let me break this down because this is not going to be a short message, I imagine. The email tied to this provider already has an no, that's not good. This email is already tied to an account. Please log in to your account and assign and add social provider. Please log into your account and add through your settings. Not great, but I'll workshop it. Let's just see how it comes back. This email is already tied to an account. Please log into your account and add Google through your settings. Good enough. Account using your email and password. Okay. So that's good enough on that front. Now what we want to do is we should pretty much just be able to add these two buttons into the settings page. And then we can add an additional check to see whether or not the user is authenticated and whether or not the email matches. So if those two cases are good, then we are green to go on this. Thank you for confirming that. No, is that an I? No, Nohim. Sorry about the name butcher there. But thank you for confirming that the Full HD and 60 FPS is working. Okay, I appreciate that. So let's go ahead and add those buttons in. So that would be, let me collapse this stuff up. Resources, views, auth, sign in. All right, scroll down. I should have these commented out so that I can easily, or log in with. I don't. Okay. So I'm just gonna go ahead and grab these here. That is that. I think I need to grab that div too. No, that div is this one. Yeah, okay. And then let's head into the settings page. That's inside of Studio. Settings, index. I'm gonna have to go to this page to actually remind myself what it looks like. It's been a while. Okay. Yeah. Oh wow, none of the well, I might have broke that while I was doing with the Google stuff, but that was working. Probably overrode it from whatever Google set it to. So let's see here. Yeah, just add another one of these sections here for social authentication or social providers, and that should do it. So let's see, where would be best? So change username, update email, email notifications. Do it after update email, I guess. So change update email. Okay. Add a social provider to your account. Volume is low. I think I can fix that. Let me try to. Is this any better here? Is this any better? I need to try to not talk louder and talk at the same cadence that I was before. Last thing I want to do is turn the volume up and talk louder. All right, so add a social provider to your account. Add a social provider to your account so you can log in. All right, there we go. That should be fine. And okay. This shouldn't need a form at all. Should just be able to plop these buttons in here. The form section is just purely visual, structural, I mean. And then, yeah, I'll go ahead and leave Twitter in there. I got an email a little while ago about Twitter changing their application process, so maybe I'll be able to get that eventually. Cool. So then those buttons should show up right here. I'd prefer them to be vertical, but I'll work on that later. Main thing is we need to add the callback for this whenever we click on it to check to see whether or not the user is authenticated. If the user is authenticated, then we really just need to check whether or not they have that email. So right here is where we're going to be working again. Just pretty much we need to make that falsy if, well, okay, so let's see. We do need to provide in the user through here. So I guess this would change up a little bit, wouldn't it? Social provider, because, well, no, so this is extending the HTTP service. So I have access to everything right here. So that makes that nice and easy. So we have our user here, our Jaeger user here. So let's do const auth user equals this ctx auth user. Okay. And so that can be nullish. So else if not. Let's see. End of day if statements are always. I don't know why, but they always trip me up. Let's see. Auth.email does not equal user.email. And let's see, would that work? Also, if auth user, so if the authenticated user, if their email does not equal the user email, well, in that case, we would actually want that to be a different error altogether, because there you're trying to go against with a different one. So if not auth user for that one, and then we'll do a separate check for what I was just trying to do. So else if not auth user email does not equal user.email. Then we get into a bit of a finicky state where we have somebody trying to attach well, I don't know if that actually would be an issue, because say I sign up here and I log into Google, I'm confirming that I have access to that Google account because I'm able to log into it. So if the emails don't match, what's it matter? It's still the same. Yeah. So, okay. So pretty much just stating whether or not, if the user's not logged in, then we want to perform that previous check to see whether or not they have a social authentication token. Otherwise, we're just going to go ahead and merge in their social auth information with their current user information. I think that sounds right. So before I do that, let me go ahead and just do a sanity check here and make sure I didn't break anything with how that's working previously. So Google should come back, get an error. Yep. Okay. Come back over here, sign in, come down to settings. And of course, this shouldn't error out, but if for any reason that it does, I believe I'm going to want to add some kind of a messaging in here. Well, actually, it would redirect me back to the login page, wouldn't it? Which would redirect me elsewhere. Yeah, that's a yeah, so that could use some work. So maybe that does need a separate endpoint. But let's go ahead and see whether or not that actually worked on the database side. Yeah, it worked on the database side. So here now we have our Google ID. Here now we have the Google Access token. It did break my avatar previously, but it shouldn't any longer. Or wait, did it? No, it shouldn't have. That was probably just broken before for some reason. But okay. Yeah, so this seems to be working okay. And the next thing that we would pretty much want to do is to disable that, because you should be able to add more than one Google account. Let me see whether or not we have should have the auth. Well, yeah, you have the auth user there. So let's see here. So I'm gonna let's see here. If auth.user dot Google Access token and let me do that. don't need to do it twice. All right. It should have refreshed, but yeah, so now that's not doing anything, whereas GitHub still is. So let me go ahead and okay. Let's do a sanity check there. So one should be disabled, one should not. Google is, this one is not, and it would be working a-okay as well. So cool. Now, obviously we don't want that hover, and it should look a little different. Okay. Otherwise, it's just going to be text gray, I don't know, 400. Yeah. Yeah. Oh. Okay. Let's try this. There we go. And then probably put a message. This is already bound, or this is already tied to your account or something like that. Would probably be good to save the GitHub and Google email addresses too that come back with that user, just in case they are different. I'm not going to do that tonight, but you'd also be able to state that here as well. And then we could add in like a detach button as well under here instead of just saying that it's already set up. That way, if they need to switch their account or whatever, they could detach it and then reattach a different one. And really that wouldn't be too much work. It would just be a matter of clearing out those particular database columns. So you would clear out the Google access token and the Google ID. And then as far as our application's concerned, you know, that the account's no longer tied to that social provider. There we go. So I'll work on that off screen to finish it up, but wanted to at least stream a little bit here to see, make sure everything works okay. And we'll move forward from here. Sorry I wasn't at my best today. It's been, like I said, a couple of weeks since I've actually worked with Adonis, and it's also a Friday evening. So I'm gonna go relax. y'all have a great weekend. I'll probably stream a little bit tomorrow. There's some additional stuff that I want to get done, and I'm hoping to be able to get the site out. I was hoping to get it out last weekend, but stuff happens.